So are we ready to start? If you would like to come down closer. We'll keep it short, but congratulations on an amazing performance.
Thank you.
You know, you already thanked Bill Bregan, but I'd like to thank him again and all his team, Alana Barrage, and everyone.
That's right.
Lindsay Boswick, Mohammed Al-Bakri, for bringing this extraordinary talent not only to our stages, but into our classrooms, into our lives. And, you know, we, as Bill mentioned, this conference, the Translucent Border Conference, just ended as well. There was another conference on genetics and identity, and both of them, in a sense, posed questions that are relevant to us today. And Arturo gave a wonderful talk in the Translucent Borders Conference. And I know that he is a great storyteller. I know Ghazi is as well. Yazz, I don't know you previously, but everyone has stories to tell, right? There are some key things that pop out for me. One is collaboration. Another is kind of hybridity. All of your musics are hyphenated. So Afro-Cuban, Afro-Emirati, Bahraini, and jazz and England. So this hyphen takes us between two places, and it's kind of a sign of collaboration. So I wonder if you would like to speak to the labor of collaboration and what it brings to you. Yeah. Well.
Hello, everybody. Well, I guess for me, you know, dealing with Bahri music of my people, I can say, and Yasmin's interaction with her Bahraini traditional music, and Arturo continuing his father's work, I think the hardest part for me, and the part that I appreciated the most, was finding a way that honored our ancestors and to produce something beautiful at the same time. And I don't think, I mean, I'm not saying this just to compliment Arturo, but it takes a certain kind of person with a certain kind of sensitivity who's under a tremendous amount of pressure to show the kinds of generosity to make the space for something like this to happen. And although he's the leader of this orchestra, I never felt that I was being led. I felt like I was being pulled in, and I found that really terrifying and exciting and difficult, and really extremely difficult. And yeah, I mean, but I'm so grateful for it at the same time.
But Zarra, we were just talking about the labor in collaboration and the fact that everyone's identities are kind of hyphenated. Franco-Moroccan, right? Amazighi, Berber, and what that might mean in the context of this kind of meeting.
To answer the question, wow. Well, I mean, I think, first of all, that was beautiful that Arturo, we were so different that he chose really, like, he made some great casting. and I think it made it easy to collaborate and, yeah, to bring on these layers.
I think Ghazi hit something that is very important. I think it is scary to allow someone else to enter into your safety bubble and challenge your reading or your approach or your challenging is though the language of progress and the currency that we deal in, because otherwise we play safe. And safe has not proven to be a good thing for this globe, for this planet, for these people.
Exactly. It's beautifully said. Yes, do you have any?
Well, yeah, this has been an amazing project, and what I like is Arturo has also given us the freedom to express ourselves with his music, as well as our own, and bringing that music out with the band, and that's been fantastic. Hearing everyone's music with a huge orchestra behind them, that's been brilliant. And I've really enjoyed the last couple of pieces when we get to play together. It all comes together in a true collaboration. Yeah, so congratulations, Arturo.
On the musical plane, I'm interested in how style is, how rhythms are taken from one tradition, how melody is imported into another. I don't know if that's something that happens spontaneously. Your arrangements were extraordinary, but...
There was one of those quintessential life moments yesterday at the end of rehearsal when Boom.Diwan percussion and Afro-Latin Jazz Orchestra percussion started jamming. And our Puerto Rican musicians were bedazzled by the fact that the rhythms of Khaleeji bear a great resemblance to the bomba and plena rhythms of Puerto Rico, right down to the instrumentation of frame drums. And so the centuries and thousands of miles in geopolitical realities disappeared in a matter of seconds. And they were able to find a way, despite our trying to contain and arrange them, they found a way to find a common rhythmic language.
I won't belabor my own questions, though I could go on all evening, but one of the things that came up in the Translucent Border Conference is, what does music do at borders? What are these kinds of collaborations doing for not just the musicians, but outside of the musical world? Do you see this as mirroring some kind of process, as actually moving us into some area?
There's a festival that takes place at the border, and of course, border politics are a hot button item in the United States right now. But at the very border that he's trying to build walls, at that very border, there's a festival called Fandango Fronterizo. And what happens at this festival is exactly what you're talking about. Son Jarocho, or Afro-Mexican musicians from throughout Mexico, gather at the very perimeter and reach across this wire mesh, and American musicians, Son Jarocho musicians, come across to the other side of the mesh, and they jam, and they dance, and they cry, and they smile, and they laugh, and they celebrate unity across a wire mesh. And it gives you goosebumps. And you see a brother playing across the wire mesh from a brother that he can't physically embrace. It's just the most amazing thing. And yes, music has the power to obliterate physical, geopolitical, all kinds of borders.
Yeah. And clearly you do that in your own artwork, because there are boundaries in your bodies between cultures, the traditions that you carry, which are already multiple, right? It's very beautiful. How about questions from the audience?
Super practical question. All right, I'll get up.
I hate the sound of my voice too.
I mean, just a really practical question. I know Bill said this at the beginning, but you guys have been rehearsing together for like a week. Is that a week, 2 weeks? How long you been? 2 days. How many days have you all been in the same city preparing for tonight?
3 days. We've had yeah, 3 days and just a few hours of rehearsal within each collaborator.
And you met in person when?
I met Arturo last September. Him and Bill Reagan came to Kuwait and got together with some of these percussionists in a very casual setting, and that's when the red piano came out. Arturo sat on the floor with the guys, and that was kind of a point of connection. But you know,
I just think that's remarkable. I mean, it's really extraordinary. Just thank you very much.
Jibril, your son will have a great story to tell when he gets older.
Yeah,
You keep that
definitely.
piano. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was a beautiful evening. My question is not very precise, but I just wanted to know more about the resemblance of rhythm between the Boom.Diwan group and kind of Gulf rhythms and the Puerto Rican or Cuban rhythms that you're playing from in your orchestra.
Can you state that question again? I didn't quite hear it.
It's just to know more around why are those rhythms similar? What makes them similar? Why is there this resemblance? Where does it come from? Or any other knowledge you have about that?
You know, there's a theory that civilization can be reduced to two kinds of people: straight back dancers and sway back dancers. Straight back dancers are peoples of the northern hemispheres and are encumbered by clothing, and so they cannot swivel their torso. And peoples of the southern hemispheres are not encumbered by quite so much clothing, so they actually gyrate and move their torso. And I think similar things have happened with percussion and the percussion worlds that surround the equator. Some rhythms, I might be mistaken, I might be making this up too, but it just seems to me that there is a similarity of rhythms in this surrounding the equator that are unmistakable, and you can trace some of these rhythms even to India. And I remember sitting jaw agape in my ethnomusicology class when I saw cross-stick rhythms in Ghana and recognized a rumba pattern. So yeah, I think, you know, this is just there's a lingua franca that we have as human beings, and we just have to listen to the rhythms of our lives.
If I can just also add one thing to that beautiful statement, is that these genres are also hybrid. They're not like this one thing, and what's created this hybridity is namely the sea, right, in Cuba and in the Gulf, and trade. I mean, there's bound to be, just by the very nature of trade of goods, trades of culture and music as well. Yeah, and of course Africa.
This was really incredible. Thank you guys for a wonderful night. It made it really special for all of us. We will never forget this night, so thank you so much. My question basically continues on that same discussion about connections and roots, and I wanted to see if what you think also about the other connection coming from Andalusia to basically traveling through Africa and then traveling to the Americas also, and now you're coming back, you know, to the East again. So I wonder if you can speak to that, because there's so much that also in that migration, there was so much that was carried from the East to the West as well.
Sorry, I couldn't hear, so I couldn't.
I think the question was about the tracing Andalusian rhythms in the north of Africa, and then their pilgrimage throughout that part of Spain, that part of northern Africa, and that eventually their entrance into the Western African trade routes, and of course the African diaspora and the way. The Moorish.
I still didn't hear what because no. Sorry, I still didn't hear the question.
So-
I'm sorry.
The influences of North Africa, basically.
In North Africa, well, first of all, the statement that that I made to myself recently, very strongly, it's the borders were made by human beings, and this, for me, shouldn't exist anymore. It's completely unnatural. And so North Africa, it's really a crossroad between Europe, Africa, and Middle East. So it has all the influence of, for example, there's like a classical music, which called Melhoun, that is really influenced by the Arabo-Andalou. So it's the Middle East and Spain, etc. And you have also all this traditional music in Morocco that are very influenced by African music. The trance is really, really important. So you find in any traditional music the trance is always there. Voila, and I mean, there were always people traveling, so the first thing that people share, usually it's music, rhythm, and it stays, it's modified with what's there, and
And then, of course, the Amazirin.
And the Amazighi.
That have been there through waves of colonization, from the
Amazighi.
Vandals to the Romans to the Carthaginians. I'm sure that's not in the right order. The French just being the last.
That, and also, I mean, Amaziris, they were like nomads, so they were always traveling in whole Africa and beyond. So yeah, it has all this.
But I think the inspiration for this, as Bill mentioned in the very beginning, one of the inspirations was Ned Sublet's book, which makes these connections from North Africa and the Middle East through the Afro kind of Cuban influences. It's a great book that you should all read. You had your question. Good.
Thank you all again for coming to our little corner of the universe. It really means a lot to our community. You're four different artists from four different places, and you came together in this beautiful mesh of everything. I'm wondering what what piece was difficult, like what was the most difficult to put together, or the one that you think jived the most, the one that worked the best together, that complemented all of you?
I don't know really, but I don't know. We're musicians, so you know, we communicate on a different level. You know, you don't need language obviously to play music. So I don't know. We're all kind of open. I don't think it was difficult. I don't think. I mean, I found it very open and friendly, and I felt safe and enjoyed making conversations on a different, on a musical kind of terms. Yeah, I don't know if anyone.
I'm not sure that you can do anything different without feeling a sense of unease. I don't think that's a bad thing, but you know, we all kind of came together without knowing one another, and that's always an anxious moment, but it's also beautiful because I think, you know, getting your ass kicked is a wonderful thing. Being challenged by other human beings is extraordinary, and so that I look for that unease and that feeling of, well, what's going to happen next? Who's in charge? Where are the adults? That kind of stuff.
Thank you all very much for coming this evening, and thank you all for your wonderful gift of your music.